It started with a prayer request. That sounds almost ridiculous now, but that was the first thread I pulled. One sentence in our church group chat on a Wednesday night. Please pray for me. I've been feeling spiritually attacked lately. My wife, Melissa, sent it at 9:47 p.m. with a little white dove emoji at the end. I was sitting across from her at the kitchen table when she typed it. Her Bible was open beside a half-empty mug of chamomile tea. Her hair was still damp from the shower. She looked like the same woman who led worship on Sundays, who corrected people gently when they gossiped, who kept a framed verse above our bed that said, "As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord." But her thumb was trembling. Not much, just enough for me to notice. When I asked if she was okay, she smiled without looking up. "I'm just tired," she said. "Don't make everything a thing." That was Melissa's new sentence. Don't make everything a thing. I heard it when she started taking her phone into the bathroom. I heard it when she suddenly needed alone time in the car after work. I heard it when Instagram notifications lit up her screen at midnight and disappeared before I could read the name. For 13 years, I trusted my wife like breathing. Then, slowly, breathing started to feel unsafe. At first, I blamed myself. Maybe I was becoming insecure. Maybe work had made me distant. Maybe marriage after 13 years just got quieter, and I was mistaking quiet for betrayal. Melissa worked part-time at the church office. I managed inventory at a hardware supply company. Our life wasn't glamorous, but it was steady. Sunday service, grocery runs, dinner with her parents every second Friday. Small arguments about bills, small apologies afterward. Then she changed her Instagram profile picture. It was subtle. A softer smile, more makeup, a blouse I had never seen. The caption under it said, "Walking in Grace." A man named Adrian liked it within 30 seconds. I didn't know him. I clicked his profile. Private. Profile photo of him leaning against a black car, sunglasses on, one of those men who looked like he practiced looking effortless. Melissa followed him. He followed her. That was all. One tiny inconsistency. Then another. The next Thursday, she told me she had a women's Bible study planning meeting. But when she came home, there was no smell of coffee from the church basement, no stack of papers, no tired chatter about schedules. There was unfamiliar cologne on her cardigan. Sharp. Expensive. Not mine. I hugged her longer than usual, just to make sure I wasn't imagining it. She stiffened. "What are you doing?" she asked. "Hugging my wife?" She pulled back and laughed, but it came out wrong. "You're being weird." That night, while she slept, her phone buzzed on the nightstand. The screen only showed one word. Adrian. No message preview, just his name. My stomach tightened so hard I had to sit up. I didn't touch the phone. Not then. I wanted to be the kind of man who trusted, the kind of husband who didn't snoop, the kind of Christian who didn't assume the worst. But suspicion is like smoke. Once it enters the house, everything starts smelling like fire. Subscribe if you think you already know where this story is going, because I didn't. Over the next 2 weeks, I watched quietly. Melissa started dressing differently for church errands. She wore perfume to drop off donation forms. She laughed at her phone in the laundry room, then went silent when I walked in. She began deleting Instagram notifications from the lock screen before placing her phone face down. One Sunday, after service, I saw Adrian. He was standing near the welcome table, talking to my wife. Not too close. That would have been obvious. But close enough. Melissa had her hand resting lightly on her necklace, the way she did when she was nervous. Adrian smiled like he knew a version of her I had never been allowed to meet. When I walked over, Melissa's face changed. Not fear, annoyance. "Hey," I said. Adrian looked at me and gave a small nod. "You must be Daniel." "Must be. Not nice to meet you. Must be." Melissa said quickly, "Adrian's been visiting from another church. He helps with online outreach." Online outreach. I almost laughed. That evening, I asked her directly, "Is there something going on between you and Adrian?" She stared at me like I had slapped her. "Wow," she whispered. "You really think that little of me?" "I'm asking because things feel different." "No," she said, her voice turning soft and wounded. "You're accusing me because you're insecure, and honestly, Daniel, it hurts." Then she cried. Not loud, just enough. I apologized. That is the part that still embarrasses me. I apologized while she comforted herself with the lie. 3 days later, the truth found me. Melissa forgot her old tablet on the kitchen counter. It was connected to her Instagram. I wasn't searching for evidence. I was putting dishes away when the screen lit up. "Adrian, I miss your voice praying for me." Then another message appeared. "Adrian, last Thursday was worth the risk." My hands went cold. I stood there with a plate in my hand while the kitchen clock ticked like it was counting down my marriage. I opened the messages. There were months of them. Flirty jokes hidden under Bible verses, compliments about her beauty, voice notes, hotel room selfies cropped carefully, messages about guilt, then desire, then plans. Melissa had written, "Daniel would never understand. He's a good man, but he doesn't see me." Adrian replied, "I see all of you." I read that sentence 5 times, not because it shocked me, because it sounded rehearsed. By then, my heartbeat had gone strangely calm. I took photos with my phone, not screenshots, photos. I didn't want anything deleted or denied. I captured names, dates, messages, hotel confirmations, and the receipt Adrian had sent her for a room paid in cash. Then I put the tablet back exactly where it was. When Melissa came home, she kissed my cheek. "Long day," she sighed. I looked at her face and realized something terrifying. She was comfortable. That hurt more than the affair. The next Sunday was testimony service. Melissa was scheduled to speak about spiritual warfare. I sat in the 3rd row while she stood behind the microphone, wearing a cream dress and the small gold cross I bought her on our 10th anniversary. She spoke softly. "The enemy attacks marriages," she said. "The enemy attacks purity. The enemy attacks women who are trying to walk in righteousness." People nodded. Some said amen. My hands were folded in my lap. Inside my jacket pocket was a printed envelope. Not for drama, not for revenge in the way people imagine revenge, for truth. After service, the pastor asked if anyone needed prayer. I stood. Melissa looked at me and smiled, confused. I walked to the front, but I didn't take the microphone. I handed the envelope to Pastor Glenn. Then I turned to Melissa. My voice was low. "I loved you enough to protect your reputation when I thought you were struggling," I said. "But I will not let you use faith to cover betrayal." The room went quiet. Melissa's face drained. "Daniel," she whispered, "don't." That one word told everyone enough. Pastor Glenn opened the envelope. His expression changed slowly, painfully. He looked at Melissa, then at Adrian, who was standing near the back wall. Adrian tried to leave. 2 deacons stopped him, not aggressively, just firmly. Melissa started crying then, real crying this time, angry crying. "How could you humiliate me like this?" she said. I almost answered, but then I realized she still thought humiliation was the exposure, not the betrayal. So I said nothing. The church didn't explode. People didn't scream. No one threw a Bible. It was worse than that. They went silent. And silence, when truth finally enters a room, is heavier than judgment. Melissa moved out that week to stay with her sister. Adrian disappeared from the church by Monday. Pastor Glenn called me and apologized, though none of it was his fault. The divorce was quiet. Melissa tried once to say I had destroyed her life. I told her, "No, I stopped helping you hide what you were already destroying." That was the last full conversation we had. Months later, I still pass that church sometimes on my way to work. I don't go in. Not because I lost faith, but because healing has its own sanctuary now. Some evenings, I sit on my porch with coffee and listen to the neighborhood settle down. No phone buzzing at midnight. No perfume that doesn't belong in my house. No forced smiles across the kitchen table. Just peace. And I learned something I wish I hadn't needed to learn. A lie can dress itself in prayer, modesty, tears, and perfect Sunday clothes. But truth doesn't need a costume. It waits. And when it finally walks into the room, even the most polished mask has nowhere left to hide.